Hey there, folks. Are you passionate about democracy and concerned about the rise of authoritarianism? I'm Joanne, Kevin's wife, and I've seen him give everything to this work. That's why Coffee with Democrats matters, lifting up stories, building connections, and keeping democracy strong. So tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for 30 minutes of conversation with elected officials, candidates, and Democratic influencers, only on Coffee with Democrats. So join me in welcoming the Executive Director and host of Coffee with Democrats, my husband, Kevin Dawson.
Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to Coffee with Democrats. Bear with us just a few minutes while we get some things ironed out here for us to be able to get both of us on the camera. So bear with us. All right, we've got Jordan Kelley in the house. And if somebody would please let us know in the comments that you can hear us and everything is okay on your side, we would very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get both of us on the stage together. And that is it. That's going to be the best that we can have tonight. So, hey, welcome to Coffee with Democrats. Sorry for the technical issues, folks. That's just one of the things that happens when a computer all of a sudden at the last minute decides it needs to have an update. So we're trying to play catch up. But welcome to Coffee with Democrats. We've got a great candidate here with us tonight we want to talk to. We want to find out more about him. And that's Jordan Kelley. He's going to represent House District 54, which is basically South Oklahoma City from I-240 south and including North Moore. So, Jordan, welcome to Coffee with Democrats, and thank you for coming to the studio down here and having this conversation with us tonight.
Thanks, Kevin. It's really my pleasure.
Well, it's not just a pleasure. We got to talk about what happened. Things were missing connections there for a while. I was reaching out to the wrong person and finally found the right person today and got you scheduled just like a few hours ago. So
yeah.
It was very rapid and it shows your agility. You're able to, like Muhammad Ali said, you were floating like a butterfly and we're going to sting like a bee tonight. And we're looking forward to that conversation. So, it's a pleasure to have you on Coffee with Democrats, and we're going to talk a little bit about. I like talking about three basic things, but we got more things to talk about as well. First and foremost, we need to talk about who you are. Second is why are you running for House District 54, and then the last thing is tell us why people should vote for you. So I'm going to turn it over to you for a little while. I'm going to work on trying to get another camera angle working here while you talk, and people can watch you, and I'll be in the background.
Yes. Well, Kevin, if you ever need help with anything, you just let me know, because that's the Oklahoma standard. Oklahomans, whenever the chips are down and we need to show up, we show up. And Oklahomans are going to have some opportunities to show up this November. Tell you more about myself. My name is Jordan Kelley. I was born in Texas. A lot of my family's still in Texas, but by God's good graces, my mom moved me to Oklahoma um, when I was young, and I started living more in about the year 2000. And um, I graduated high school from Watauga High School, and I spent a year at OU doing ROTC. Um, Realized that I was a Marine option,
Uh-huh.
um, and if you know, if you have any friends or family that are Marines, you know that they are a specific breed,
Right.
and I wanted to be an officer, but um, I wanted to be a part of the best, and it was. And I kind of realized I wasn't part of the Marine breed, and I couldn't switch to be a Navy option because, if you don't know, to be a Navy officer, you have to like take college calculus and things like that. So I wasn't suited to be a Marine officer. I wasn't suited to be a Navy officer. So I kind of forego the rest of my ROTC scholarship, and then I moved to SWASU, where I got a history degree, became an educator in history and later in English. So I've been teaching for 10 years, mostly in Oklahoma City Public Schools. And I'm a father of 3, and my wife also teaches at Highland East. So she's also a teacher, or a family of teachers. My mother's a nurse. She worked at the Watauga Hospital for almost 20 years, and she was a nurse for almost 40 years. So that's most of just like kind of my background as a kid, and where I went to college and what I've been doing.
It's what I like to refer to, and I learned this from another candidate, as your origin story.
Yeah.
So it's great to have you and have that background about who you are. Again, because that gives you the fundamentals about being qualified to be a House representative, somebody from your district who is a educator, who has education yourself, not just somebody off the street that says, hey, pick me, but somebody who is actually highly qualified with a degree work. And that really matters, so that as you move forward into this endeavor, people will look at you with respect. And as a teacher, and with all the crises that were going on here in Oklahoma, even people across the aisle will look to you for advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I've lived in rural Oklahoma communities. Spent a long time there. Mid-sized communities like Weatherford, and I also have a lot of years in strong ties with Moore, where my aunt lives here, my father lived here, and my brother graduated from Moore High School, and so yeah, I think I've lived in kind of I guess every type of Oklahoma town, and so I really have a strong love for House District 54, but I've also seen kind of every part of the state. And
right, Watauga's out west.
Watauga and Weatherford are both out west. My mom lives at on Lake Eufaula now, so
right.
Spent some time out east.
Out east too. So, yeah. So it really matters, because when people again start talking about rural Oklahoma versus urban and rural, you've got that perspective to see both and be able to say, hey, look, I grew up in rural Oklahoma. I understand the plight of what's happening in rural and western Oklahoma.
The laws we'll be making as legislators have to work for all Oklahomans.
Absolutely. That's a good point. I'm glad you pointed that out. So we'll move on to this isn't like a lightning round, but we'll move on to question number 2. And that is, why did you decide that you wanted to run?
Yeah, there's definitely 3 things that I feel really called me to run. In no particular order. The first one was as a teacher. I've learned to suffer a lot of fools and a lot of foolishness, whether that be from students or other people that I work with, administrators, parents, everyone can have their moments of foolishness. As a teacher, you learn to just swim through it, let it just water off a duck's back.
Right.
But there's a certain type of foolishness that causes divisiveness, and really, I'm talking about Ryan Walters.
Yes.
So as a teacher, I felt like Ryan Walters never had Oklahomans in his heart. He was always looking for higher office. He was always looking to become part of Trump's administration, or I think that was always his A plan, or to run for higher office. When things got too hot for him to handle, you saw that he had an exit plan, and he didn't even finish the 4-year term he was elected to.
Right.
But he did so much damage in those 2 years. And I began to look at the thing I can't really tolerate are the people that are in authority and leadership, and they look at the foolishness and they turn a blind eye.
Right.
So I don't really have, I can suffer a fool, but I can't suffer someone that turns a blind eye that could have helped. And so that's what I saw from the status quo and, quite frankly, the Republican Party, that they could have done more to censor him, to subpoena him, to investigate him. Our public media has done, I think, a fair job. And, well, really, quite frankly, as much as he obstructed them and broke the law with Open Records Act, they did a commendable job with finding out, I think, some of the laws that he broke, and but the House of Representatives was never willing to do an impeachment hearing. So that got me more kind of interested politically. I was telling my students, democracy is based on citizen participation. I always kind of preach that. And then I had to eventually kind of look in the mirror. I've seen a lot of problems with the way things are being run in our state, that there wasn't 3 co-equal branches of government, or the House of Representatives would have stood up to Ryan Walters in ways that I wasn't seeing. Then I got to try to get to know my state representative better, Kevin West at the time, House District 54. And I realized that nobody had ran against him since 2018. Like, there hadn't been a Democrat that ran for HB 54. So then I had to look in the mirror, and that became so education and holding the executive branch accountable became very important to me. I also had a health scare. The doctors found a tumor that they weren't able to biopsy, and eventually they were able to surgically remove it, and it turned out to be non-cancerous. But through that whole period, from the first CT scan to the surgery, through that whole time, we didn't know what we were working with, and it just made me think the whole. And even though I had a great healthcare plan with my employer, I still had a lot of fear and worry, and I could only imagine what Oklahomans go through on all number of illnesses that don't have health care.
Right.
How they get more sick because they're not, keen on going to the emergency room. And how, I've, whenever I had the first time I had an acute symptom, I went to the emergency room. We found it. Even if it was cancer, we knew it wasn't late stage cancer because it was isolated. So that's something that other people, I think, they would wait to go. They wouldn't go to the doctor until they passed out, and
right.
And then by that time it might be too late. So expanding healthcare, protecting Medicaid, healthcare is also one of my really big issues. I also started to pay more attention on Sundays, and preachers at my church, one of the regular things we do is we pray for our elected officials. And so restoring respectability, restoring civility, treating other people with respect, even when we disagree with them, that became very important to me. So those are the 3 reasons why I'm running. I feel called to run. I felt that calling church on Sundays when we were praying for elected officials. Um, I want to make sure that all Oklahomans have access to quality health care, and I want to make sure that our schools are properly run, that educators are making the laws and holding the executive accountable.
Well, those are all noble causes too, but because it is by any stretch of the imagination, Oklahoma is in a tough place. We're ranked 50th in education, and that's not due to the educators. I'm an advocate for educators and an advocate for the administrations of schools. But the legislature here in the state of Oklahoma has hogtied a lot of legislation or hogtied our school districts to the point where it's not even the bare minimum that's being provided to our students anymore. They're more focused on athletics than they are academics. You're seeing a disparity in that region of it. But early childhood education is something that we're greatly lacking here with reading proficiency by the fourth grade is among some of the worst in the nation as well. So education is a big issue that I hear constantly. And trust me when I tell you, it's not just here in Oklahoma. My daughter is a vice principal for a school district in Kansas, and she talks to me about the same issues in Kansas, but not to the same degree, because their legislature in Kansas still provides the fundamentals basically for the public education system in Kansas, but Oklahoma doesn't even provide the fundamentals, it seems like, in a lot of places and with educators that I talk to. So we've got a lot of ground to make up. And that doesn't start by pointing fingers at the teachers and starting pointing teachers at the administration, but pointing fingers at the legislation and the legislators who are doing this to our state, and also to our parents. The parents of our students we have to be able to engage those people in a meaningful way. And we can't do that without spending some money. We're going to have to engage them with some incentives. And in order to get those people to be more engaged in what's going on with their own children. So I see some real issues there that I think I continue to hear this from just, other candidates. I mean, you and I were talking earlier, before we started here, but I get a sense that there's a lot of angst that we're not even living up to the Oklahoma standard that you talked about earlier.
Right.
That we're not even living up to that.
We're not even close. Kevin, can give you a pop quiz?
Yes.
And this is a little bit more of a philosophical question, so don't feel pressure to answer it. There's no wrong answer, is what I mean to say. When does a child's education begin?
At childbirth is, in my opinion, because really, as you're constantly, even before a child is able to have comprehension, the child is still learning.
Right.
So,
and a little bit before that, because the child's already born being able to recognize its mother's voice.
Yes.
And but yes, I totally agree. Education begins the day you're born. Children that grow up in a bilingual environment will learn both of those languages very quickly. So I have a saying, because at some point in time in Oklahoma, it became popular to bash teachers.
Yes.
Everybody's a teacher.
Yes.
So you have to ask yourself, what have I taught lately?
Yeah.
To the people around me, including the young people. And, some people just happen to get paid for it. Have you got paid for what you're teaching? So teach lessons that are valuable enough that you wish you got paid for it. Think a teacher that just happens to get paid for it, they don't get paid enough.
Right.
But that's, but anyway, we're all teachers. Only some people get paid for it. But we really need to think about what lessons are we teaching our children. There's a lot of parents. So education, actually, for us, our education turnaround is not going to begin with, it's not even going to begin with pre-K, which we need to shore up and expand. It's not going to begin in kindergarten or first grade. And yes, we need to implement science of literacy, train teachers better in teaching the science of literacy, phonics. There's a lot of reforms that we need to do, and Republicans and Democrats are starting to get on the same page about the literacy reforms. What about the parents? Not every parent in Oklahoma has a GED.
Right.
Not every parent in Oklahoma has a house library.
Yes.
Where they have books for themselves, adults, books for children. Of course, local libraries are one thing, but in states and communities where the average median income is high, schools do great.
Right.
So we need to be doing more to help parents directly
Right.
with their educational needs and their income needs. And then all of a sudden, that could be the Oklahoma miracle. We didn't even have to really we don't have to completely reform education to make it match Mississippi or make it match Massachusetts. We need to help parents and meet them where they are and meet their needs, and make sure that all schools are funded in a more equitable manner. So if school funding was if the way that Edmond schools and Norman schools, if we match that kind of funding on a per pupil basis across the state, and if the parents of those students had incomes that were more comparable to the median incomes of those places, then we would see some amazing turnarounds. And these are easy political choices. As I'm kind of door knocking in my community, I met a correctional officer, and there's correctional officers in a lot of rural communities. State employees haven't had a pay raise in almost 10 years.
Right.
What's it going to take to increase the Oklahoma minimum wage?
Right.
Some parents are working 2 jobs. Some parents do have a high school education, maybe even have an associate's degree, maybe even have a bachelor's degree and still have to work 2 jobs.
Right.
They don't have enough time. They get home and they have just enough time to maybe cook their kid dinner. They would love to read their kid for an hour a day. They don't have an hour a day.
Right.
So we need to liberate parents economically. And that's the way to actually empower parents. Not whatever cheap points Ryan Walters was trying to win about empowering parents. When you empower the parents economically, they can spend more time with their kids and they can teach them so many things before they ever even walk to a pre-K classroom.
Well, folks, you heard me laugh, and I've got to point out, this is such an enjoyable conversation for me. I am enjoying this conversation. I love what I'm hearing from Jordan. I think that he's going to make an outstanding candidate. And that laugh I wasn't laughing anywhere in a derogatory manner. I was laughing because this is the kind of conversation that we need to have a legislator carrying on this kind of conversation. And that is so important to me. And it really touched me. And it touched me probably at the wrong moment, but it was something that I was enjoying so much that I couldn't help myself. Now, we got to go on to the last question. We've got about 6 minutes left here for you to be able to talk about why should people vote for you. Now, I already made the case why I think people should vote for you, but now I think you need to make the case for why people should vote for you.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Man, there's so many reasons people should vote for me. As I go knock door to door in my district, everyone says the same thing. We really need somebody to stand up to Republicans, stand up to Kevin Stitt, stand up to whoever's gonna replace Kevin Stitt. And but I'm telling them, it needs to be Sidney Munson. We need to get in new leadership. And so I'm really excited about being part of a blue wave that really changes people's mind about Oklahoma. People there's a myth and a confusion that this program, Coffee with Democrats, is helping us sort out. Oklahoma is not a red state.
Right.
Like every state in the country, it's a gerrymandered state.
Right.
And so Democrats that exist don't turn out because they feel disenfranchised.
Yeah.
And so that's one as a social studies teacher, I believe in our democracy so much, and it's it's one of my core beliefs. And so as I'm knocking door to door, I'm just thinking about voter turnout. I'm thinking about helping people realize they're not a lonely blue dot. And really, if we look at the numbers from the last time a candidate ran in 2018, from when Joy Hogmaster ran for governor, how many people in HD 54 voted for, I really only need to flip 6% of the vote to flip the district.
Right.
And that is so manageable. So, and it's going to be done through door knocking. I've been door knocking since December. And so I'll essentially have 12 months of door knocking to flip the district. And I'm flipping independents. I'm flipping Republicans that I'm door knocking on. Whenever I knock on someone's door, one of the first questions will be, "Are you Democrat, Republican?" When I say I'm a Democrat, and they respond, "Well, I'm a Republican," and they go to shut the door, I'll just say, "I'm not your typical Democrat."
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because the person on the doorstep, they're going to interpret that however they want. And 90% of the time, they don't shut the door. So that 10% that just shut the door, you were never gonna flip their vote again.
Exactly.
But those 90% that wait, and they'll go, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And then I'll just be like, "Well, what's a typical Democrat to you?" And they'll say all these extreme things, and I'll and then I'll get to say, "Oh no, that's not me. Like, these are the kitchen table issues I'm concerned with as an Oklahoma Democrat," and it's the same things that our Democrat senators are concerned about. It's what our representatives talk about every day, and viewers of this channel will know the kitchen table issues that we talk about all the time. And Oklahomans do not feel seen, whether you're a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat. Oklahomans throughout Moore and Oklahoma City, they feel ignored. Sometimes by their municipal city leaders, definitely by their state leaders and their governor. And people are struggling, and they want to have someone to believe in. And I'm that person that I think people, when I go door knocking, I say, give me a chance to win your vote. And I'm winning those votes, and my training in social sciences teaches me that democracy is worth fighting for, that what it looks like is competition, debating ideas, finding the best one, and initiating that for the public good. And that's the pitch that I'm doing door to door, and it's winning over independents. It's winning over lots of independents, and it's winning over Republicans. And the Democrats are also thankful. They feel seen. I'm inviting and starting to build coalitions. So that Democrats realize that they aren't a tiny minority. They are a significantly sized minority in HD 54. And the turnout in 2026 is going to be high. So this is the golden opportunity to flip HD 54. And that's why people should vote for me.
Well, those are great answers, and I really appreciate you coming on to Coffee with Democrats. And folks, you heard me. I am enjoying this conversation so much. This is one of the few times that Jordan and I have ever met. This is the first time that he and I have spent time having a conversation like this, and he has impressed me a lot. I am very impressed with this.
Kevin, you're going to have me back on in the summer. I can give you a rundown on the campaign, our numbers, how many doors we've been knocking, how many Democrats we've been reaching, how many independents.
Well, I really want to get that information. I need to bring up one thing on the screen for people to be able to look at, and that is your how people can help your campaign financially.
Absolutely.
So I've got it on the screen for people to please take a screenshot of this, write it down if you have a pencil and paper, but it's goodchange.app/donate/JORDA-51. So we're really looking forward to having more support, because running a campaign is not easy. It's very hard and it's taxing financially. So, hey, folks, we got another great candidate coming on next Tuesday. But until then, everybody, please be safe. And thank you for joining us this evening on Coffee with Democrats.
Coffee with Democrats is broadcast from the multimedia studio inside the Cleveland County Democrats office with their gracious permission to use the space. Our thanks to the Cleveland County Democrats Central Committee and Chair Jamie Shelton for accommodating our Tuesday night show.